Welcome back to Dominate Your Potential, the podcast for faith-driven leaders, dadpreneurs like myself, visionaries, and world changers who are tired of playing small. Today we are diving into one of the most explosive entrepreneurial stories on the planet, the rise of Red Bull. This is not just about an energy drink. It's about a farm boy with no connections, a foreigner who refused to think small, and a brand that didn't just enter a market, it created one. As you listen, I want you to keep asking yourself, what does this mean for my calling, for my business, and for my potential? Because this is not a business history lesson. No, this is a mirror image. So now let's dive in. Let us dive in. All right, so now let's talk about the real origin story of Red Bull. You see, Red Bull didn't start with a Silicon Valley pitch deck. It's not a glamorous start. It's not a flamboyant start. It started in the heat, dust, and hustle of Thailand. There was a boy in Thailand called Chaleo Yoovidhya. I'm not sure if I'm getting the surname right, but let's call him Chaleo. That's his name. He was called Chaleo, this boy. He grew up poor on a farm, no private school, no fancy CV, nothing, no powerful profile. His family was just farming ducks and apples, basically. They were not really well up. So he had no family friendly in the industry, as it were. And as a young man, he sold fruit in the market. If you've ever been in a street market, you know you learn to read people quickly. You have to be streetwise, street smart. You learn to hustle. You learn that if you don't move, you don't eat. Basically, you have to be sharp and witted. And out of that world, Charlie eventually started working in the pharmaceutical trade. Oh boy. He noticed something when he was in the pharmaceutical trade. Truck drivers and laborers needed cheap, fast energy, not a luxury drink, just a survival drink. So what did he do, Chaleo? He created a little tonic called Krating Daeng, which means red gold, named after a powerful wild ox. It tasted strong. Okay, red gold also means Red Bull. And this drink tasted very strong. And it came in small brown bottles, no fancy packaging. It was just no gas, no fancy care, no slick marketing. But the people who needed it, they loved it. Yeah, the laborers, the workers, the laborers, they loved it so much. These were the truck drivers, the manual workers, the night shift employees. They went on Instagram, but they were loyal. Now, press pause just for a second. Just hold on. You might feel like your idea is small, yeah? You might feel like you're serving people that don't look glamorous, all right? But that doesn't mean there's no potential, okay? Just hold on a minute. It doesn't mean there's no potential. Often, the greatest businesses start by serving people everyone else ignores. That's right. Back to our story about Chaleo, and this was in the early 1980s. Yeah, there was an Austrian marketing executive named Dietrich Mateschitz. He flies to Thailand. He's jet-lagged. He's exhausted. He's struggling to stay awake for meetings. Someone hands him this little tonic, Krating Daeng. What does he do? He drinks it, and boom! The jet lag lifts. He feels alert, focused, alive. Most people will have said, wow, this stuff works, yeah? And moved on. Dietrich, no. He said, this could change everything. He didn't just see a drink. He saw an opportunity. He didn't see a drink. He saw a possibility. What if we package this? What if we bring this to Europe? What if we build a brand around this feeling? What is your what if? Just think and pause for a moment, looking at your situation and where you are, the idea that you have or something that you've seen, and there is that aha moment. You feel like, what if? What is that what if? So now, back to our story. These two men from two different worlds came together, partnership, collaboration, yeah? A Thai farm boy turned tonic maker and an Austrian marketer who understood branding and Western markets. Two different backgrounds, but they came together, combined their strengths, combined their expertise, and built something powerful. They created a 50-50 partnership. It is said that both invested like 500,000 each. So in 1984, for the start of Red Bull, they changed the name, changed the packaging, carbonated the drink, and in 1987 they launched Red Bull in Austria. Not in the whole world, no. Not in 50 countries at once. No. Just one small European country. And at the time, nobody knew what an energy drink was. So basically, Red Bull is the first, is the mother, is the godfather of energy drinks. That's what it is. And regulators were suspicious. People thought it looked weird. Some people always want to despise and criticize what they don't understand. It was new, it was innovative, it was bold, it was disruptive. And some said it tasted terrible, just to try and discourage them and to, for them to forsake their drink. Journalists doubted it. Some governments questioned it. But here's the thing, they kept going because they believed in their drink, they believed in their dream, they believed in their vision, they believed that it had so much potential. Yes, they kept going. And today, Red Bull sells billions of cans in over 170 countries. Oh my God. It sponsors Formula One teams, extreme sports, music events, and more. It has become shorthand for energy, risk, and adventure. Just from a farm boy and a foreigner to a global brand. Now, let's pull out what this means for you right now. There are 7 entrepreneurial lessons that we can derive from this story, from how Red Bull was born into what it is. Like, it's a $1 billion business. It's just an empire, a conglomerate. Is too much. So, number 1 lesson that we can derive from this powerful story is you don't need a new idea. You just need a new angle. You see, Dietrich, when he had that taste of the red dog and said, this is something, it was boosted and the gel like disappeared. You were like, wow, he saw possibility, he saw potential. And I don't need to invent my own drink. I don't have to go and create my own energy drink. He didn't want to do that. He didn't want to come up with a new idea. He just say, okay, how about we do it in a different way, a new angle. He came with a partnership. And of course, Chaleo first refused. He didn't want to invest with him, didn't want to partner as it is, but he persisted, and well, the rest is history. So Red Bull did not invent the energy drink. That already existed in Thailand, yeah. Red Bull did not invent the energy drink. That drink was already there in Thailand. What Dietrich brought was a new packaging, yeah. New branding, new positioning in the marketplace. Yeah. That's powerful. So what you need at times is just a different perspective, a new angle, just the way you position yourself in the marketplace. The branding, the positioning, just you took something and you take something and make it something else, you understand? Like, he took something local and he made it global, something working class and made it, aspirational, because now Red Bull is associated with inspiration. Like, it's powerful, it's dominating the industry as it were. They have actually created their own industry. And maybe you're stuck because you keep telling yourself, someone's already doing this. Too many coaches, too many speakers, too many books. You don't need a brand new idea. You need a distinct angle. Now, there is this franchise called KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken. And then there is Nando's. Both these brands, they sell chicken. I talk about this in my book, Dominating Potential, which is actually available now on Amazon. That these brands both sell chicken, but the taste is not the same. The way they prepare their chicken is not the same, but it's still chicken nonetheless. So you don't need a brand new idea. You just need a distinct angle. You see, your story, your audience, your flavor. That's what separates KFC and Nando's. It's the flavor and the style. Your style also, you understand? So think about you for a second. There are many speakers. Of course, I'm one of them. I'm one of the many speakers, many coaches. I'm amongst the many coaches. But how many then combine what I do, combine fatherhood, faith, identity, legacy, and my specific journey of from me moving from my country, starting again and leading, this company, Community Rhythm, Surrey, and Williams Impact Training. That is my angle. That's me. That's my story. You understand? So I don't know about you, but I know something about you. You have got something special. You have got greatness within you. Just ponder and pause and see and look at you and think like, what separates you from the rest of those people that are already doing that which you want to do, and come up with a different angle. It's just something slightly, different from the way they are doing things. That's how you will step out and shine. That's your angle. And number two, you have to be willing to look crazy before you look brilliant. Look crazy before you look brilliant, yeah? You see, when Red Bull tried to enter European markets, a lot of people laughed. And it reminds me of this call that if people are not laughing at your dream is too small, you understand? So when Red Bull tried to enter the European markets, like a lot of people, they laughed, they say this drink is too sweet, it's too strong, it's too strange, they said. No one with money will drink this will never work here. These were the naysayers, These were just, they didn't understand the vision, they didn't see, neither did they hear the music that these guys were hearing, because these two were listening to the sound of a different drum bit. Nobody understood, nobody was hearing what they were seeing, nobody was seeing what they were seeing, but they had the vision, and they had seen, and they had painted the picture, and they had seen the future in their minds, and they seen the possibility. And in as much as these naysayers were saying whatever they were saying, the critics were laughing and people were laughing as it were, they did not listen. Now imagine if they had listened. Imagine if they had listened, because you see, some of your ideas will sound too much to people who are comfortable, just complacent people who have nowhere to go, who have no dream, no ambition, none whatsoever. They will laugh at your too much ideas. They'll say, why are you wanting to do this thing? Why do you want to do this thing? Why are you doing it there, in that country, in that city, in that village? Why you leave your safe job to do entrepreneurship, to start a business? You want to be a coach, you want to be a speaker. Why would you do such a stupid thing? Now, if everyone understands your idea immediately, it's probably not disruptive enough. Real innovation often looks like foolishness before it looks like genius, yeah? Now, think of Noah building an ark on dry land. Just think of the boy, teenage David, running towards Goliath with a sling and a stone, a smooth stone. At first, it looked ridiculous, yeah? Now, you also need to have faith, because what they did, they had faith and belief, a strong belief in their idea. And the question for you now is, where are you dialing yourself down because you're afraid of looking crazy? You see, the world will ostracize you. They will try and diminish you. They will not embrace you immediately. Just have to fight and strive and push. You understand? And believe in yourself. Believe in your idea. Believe in your dreams. Because not everybody sees what you see. Nobody feels what you feel concerning that idea of yours. So you have to be the one to give it life. Okay. And lesson number 3 that we can derive from this story is start small, think global. Red Bull didn't launch in 50 countries on day one. They started with Austria. Yeah, Austria. They went deep before they went wide. That's right. They went deep before they went wide. They tested, they refined, they listened, learned what worked in one market before expanding to other areas. You see, Red Bull was thinking global, but they operated local for startup. And you might be doing something similar wherever you are, be it in your city. You can start there, start in your city, not in every city, start local, tangible, and rooted. And that's why, many entrepreneurs, they get paralyzed because they are thinking, how do I scale this to the world? You are not thinking small, you are starting small, but you are thinking global. It doesn't mean that when you start in a small scale, you are thinking small. You are not being bold and courageous. You are just being wise. You understand? So you have to scale this to the world step by step. You understand? How do you dominate your street? Think about it. How do you dominate your street? How do you dominate your town? How do you dominate your church? How do you dominate your online corner? As it were, you conquer one room before you conquer a stadium, basically. And lesson number 4 is your brand is bigger than your product. Yes, your brand is bigger than your product. Red Bull doesn't just sell energy. It sells what? It sells courage, yeah? It sells adventure. It sells risk. It sells identity. Oh, wow. Yes, it sells courage, adventure, risk, and identity. And you rarely see us saying, contains X milligrams of this ingredient. You see skydivers, wave jumpers, Formula One, people doing things that look impossible. It's all about adrenaline. Adrenaline, adrenaline, adrenaline. And the message is Red Bull is for people who push limits, basically. So what limits are you pushing for yourself? My brand as Milton is not just sessions of courses or books. My brand is dominate your potential. You understand? Escape the grind. It's about faith, fatherhood, and legacy, community, and courage in rhythm. That's me. People are buying a story to live into, an identity to step into. What story is your brand telling? Yes. What story is your brand telling? And lesson number 5 is use unconventional marketing. On the Red Bull, they didn't try to outspend Coca-Cola on TV ads. No. That was early on. They didn't do that because they couldn't. So they did things like put cans in nightclubs and bars, sponsor university student parties, hand out free drinks at events where people needed energy. They backed extreme sports that big brands were too conservative to touch. They saw a gap and they milked it to the max. They showed up where their people actually were. And now, as a speaker, as a coach, as an entrepreneur, as a speaker and a coach, you should ask, where is the conversation not happening? Where are my people? But my competitors are not, you understand? Ask these things. Maybe for me, that's church men's groups, not just corporate stages, community youth events, not just entrepreneurship conferences, libraries, not just hotels, refugee centers, not just business hubs. Sometimes the most powerful stage is the one nobody else wants. And lesson number 6 is build a tribe, not just customers. That's what Red Bull did. See, Red Bull fans didn't just drink it. No, They wore the caps and t-shirts. They put stickers on their cars and laptops. They watched Red Bull's events online, identified as part of the culture. That's what's up. They identified as part of the culture. Customers say, I buy this sometimes. Tribe members say, this is part of who I am. For you, you might think about like that tribe of yours. For me, it's dominate your potential as a tribe. You understand? I'm thinking about you guys as my tribe. You understand? Like men, families, leaders who see themselves as cycle breakers. That's my tribe. People who wear the identity. I am someone who dominates my potential, not wastes it. That's right. That's my tribe. And community rhythm survey is just new, still starting, and is a tribe in the making. People who come for reading, community culture, and courage. Now ask yourself, how do I deepen belonging, not just sell tickets? How do I deepen belonging, not just sell tickets, not just sell products, not just sell clothes or whatever it is that you are into, whatever line of business you are into? Just ask, how do I deepen belonging, not just selling things? You understand? And lesson number 7 is partner with people who complement, not copy you. That's what Dietrich had. He had marketing genius. He had vision for branding and positioning, while Chaleo had product genius, local understanding, a formula that worked, and together they came together. If either tried to do it alone, Red Bull would likely not exist as we know it. You see, partnership is a force multiplier. Partnering for me, partnering with the school that has the students but not the speaker. Yeah, you're a speaker. You can partner with a church that has the people but needs the message. You understand? Partnering with the charity that has the community but needs the coaching. Partnering with another creative who has media skills while you bring message and facilitation. So stop trying to be everything. Find your Chaleo, find your Dietrich. That's right. Find your Chaleo, find your Dietrich. And this is powerful, yo. I hope you're deriving value from this, because when you zoom out, the rebel story is the kind of thing God loves. It's about faith, They had faith, and God can use any starting point. I remember he said to Moses, when you are saying, Moses, I'm sending you to Egypt. I want you to go and deliver my people from Pharaoh. And Moses came with a lot of excuses. Boy, you're like, Lord, I do not have good speech. I don't speak properly, And the Lord said, Moses, go with Aaron. He partnered him with someone who could speak. And Moses was like, but Lord, this and that. And the Lord said, okay, what's that you have in your hands? I can use it. And that's what God does. He loves such a thing. So when you zoom out, the Red Bull story is the kind of thing, basically, that God loves. It was just a farm boy, a foreigner, a product nobody respected, a market that didn't exist yet. So they created something, they built something, and it's so powerful. Like we can see today, even right now, like Red Bull is all over the place. God has always specialized in using the unlikely to do the unforgettable. Think about scripture. David, for example, spoke about him. He was the youngest son. He was a shepherd, not invited to the lineup, if you remember. And there is Joseph. He was betrayed by his brethren. He was imprisoned and forgotten. Then he became prime minister. There is Moses. He was just stutter. He was a stammerer. He was just stammering. He ran away, argued with God about his calling. And there is this one, Gideon. He was hiding in a wine press, scared, calling himself the least. And the angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon, like, the Lord is with you, you mighty man of valor. And Gideon, like, what are you talking about? If the Lord is with me, then why is all this befallen me? Why is this? Why is this? All the negativity he could think of. You see, in modern times, YouTube started above a pizzeria. They didn't have a fancy place to start. Amazon started in a garage. Many global movements started in living rooms and prayer meetings. You see, your small beginning is not a problem for God. It's often his favorite starting point. You see this in Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5 where he says, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. So God is not surprised at you, at your appearance, at your existence. He knows you even before you're formed in your mother's womb. He knew you. You know what that means? Before you had a business plan, before you had a visa, before you had a podcast, before you had a book, before you had whatever you have, God already saw your potential, your accent, your past, your culture, your pain, your story. They are not disqualifiers. They are part of the formula. Just like the strange little tie buckle looked unimpressive to most people, you might look at your resources and think, this isn't enough, man. This is not going to cut. This is not going to work. But in God's hands, not enough is raw material for more than enough. Let that sink. Let that soak. You see, an entrepreneur is someone who derives motivation from problems. You see, like Red Bull's tagline is Red Bull gives you wings, and for you, your wings are already here. See, Red Bull slogan is gives you wings, but the truth is your wings did not come from a can. Your wings came from your creator, the God Almighty, the monarch of the universe. Your wings are your story, your pain, your faith, your gifts, your experiences, your calling. Every late night shift, every no, every immigration form, every setback, every closed door, whatever it is, all of that can become wing material if you let God breathe on it and you dare to move. You might be listening to this thinking, I am behind. I started late. I don't have the right background. I'm just a farm. I'm just a father. I'm just a mom. I'm just an employee. I am an immigrant. I am a beginner. Can I lovingly challenge that? You are not too late. You are not too small. You are not too far behind. You are equipped more than you realize, chosen for this generation, positioned in this time and place for a reason. The question then is not, do I have wings? The question is, will I jump? That's the question. Will I jump? Yes, the question is, do I jump? Will I jump? Now, as we wrap up, remember the Red Bull lessons for your own journey. Remember them for your own journey. You don't always need a new idea, just a new angle. You will look crazy before you look brilliant. Start small. Think global. Your brand is a story, not just a service. Use unconventional marketing. Build a tribe, not just customers. Partner with people who complement, not copy you. And above all, trust that God can use any starting point. If this episode stirred you, here are 3 things you can do. Yeah? Share it with one person who needs encouragement in their business or calling. Tag me on LinkedIn's Milton Sithole with your biggest takeaway and one action you'll take this week. If you are ready to move from listening to implementing, message me with the word wins and we can talk about coaching or the upcoming Dominate Your Potential Summit. And one last thing, my book, Dominate Your Potential, is out, is live on Amazon. Just get yourself a copy and be inspired. And thank you for tuning into this Dominate Your Potential. And don't just admire your potential, dominate it. Thank you and see you on the next episode.